Welcome to the Baltimore Sharepoint Users Group November Meetup. I am your host, facilitator, conductor, Shaddidi Laser. It's going to be a great meeting this month. And we're going to go right into introductions, or excuse me, the overview of the group. So, Baltimore Sharepoint Users Group was started initially as an answer to many of the questions of the current time. So way back during the, let's say the beta launch of MOS 2007, two employees, Eric Harlan, Shaddidi Laser, that's me, were working for a company that decided to be the early adopters of MOS 2007. So not just stand up a team site, install SharePoint. Oh, no. Working with organizations and partners that wanted to do cutting edge applications and deep customizations of MOS 2007. Now, during the time, the blogosphere and social media during that time was not as robust. Twitter, for example, did not exist. And so we needed to find answers, and we needed to find them fast. And so we decided to create a local community known as Baltimore SPUG. At the time, I was living in Baltimore and commuting all the way to Dulles to help with the leadership of SUG DC. Yes, it was SUG DC, but operating in Dulles. It moved around quite a bit during that time. And so the opportunity to commute locally was attractive to me. Special thanks to Eric Harlan for your contributions in helping to get this community up and running. And since then, every third Thursday of the month, we've been hosting meetings. The only time we don't host a meeting is on the third Saturday of the month, which typically is our annual event known as SharePoint Saturday Baltimore. And so when we look at the numbers, over 1,600 Microsoft professionals trained, certified, qualified, great networking opportunities within the group. And the number is now 5 Microsoft practices started within our membership. I don't know why I don't count my own, but that would make 6. But in this case, very proud that many members of the group who may have, let's say, been laid off, they picked themselves up, network with people within a group, some of which built practices that came back to be platinum, which is the highest level of sponsorship within our annual event. So very proud of the numbers. Special thanks to the good folks at Pro Object. Now, Pro Object was once listed as one of the top 100 places to work in the great state of Maryland. The name T.M. Staley, that is Ted Staley. And for many years, he's been the gentleman who has given his own time after work to make sure that our in-person meetings were, first of all, that we can get in the building and that all logistics were taken care of as far as Wi-Fi, logging in, speaker logistics, so on and so forth. So thank you to Ted. Each meeting, there's job opportunities. So if you're in between jobs or contract may be ending, please send your resume to tmstaley@proobject.com, and Ted will take care of you, as he has done for us for many, many years. As I've said many times before, location is one of the most important factors in growing a user group community. If you're meeting in a church basement one month, if you're meeting in Panera Bread the next month, you're meeting at the library the next month after that, it is very difficult to build any sort of roots and consistency. Here at BSPUG, we have sort of a cheers type of vibe where you come in and everybody knows your name. The food's not bad either. So thank you to all who are either viewing this live stream, who are here on the session, and or may view the replay, for your support over the past 12 plus years. It's been quite a journey. So now, going into unemployment and job uncertainty, we are in the midst of unprecedented times, and here within our region, which typically for many years has been the world's #1 Microsoft Sharepoint market. And the reason why is because of the hospitals, the educational institutions, and government agencies that all utilize Microsoft Office and SharePoint to some degree. There's been lots of turnover with contracts, so on and so forth. So the BSPUG golden rule is that, hey, you are coming here from somewhere, whether you are unemployed and you've been looking for jobs all day, you come to our meetings, or you are employed or self-employed and you're coming to our meetings after a long day at work. It's important that the fact that you attend meetings is an indicator that you go above and beyond, because this is all in your own time. And so I believe that you should never be out of work, or you should have opportunities to interview right away if the lightning strikes and you happen to be out of work. So please send your resume to me if you have any challenges with your job situation. There are tons of recruiters, including Scott Brewster, who is here on the session, who would love to place you on a role that matches your skill set, especially if you happen to be cleared. If you're uncleared, that's okay as well. And so throughout the calendar year, we at BSPUG are extending free resume and career review sessions, as well as LinkedIn, for you if you have attended at least one Baltimore SharePoint user group meeting. Now, as far as those of you, as I mentioned, 5 practices have been started and many more continue to grow and flourish. Those people just don't check in and give me the updates. So if you are a person who, let's say, is a senior developer, administrator, project manager, and you happen to want to go into a self-employment direction, and maybe you have the tech side of things down, maybe you can build applications with your eyes closed, but you don't know a business plan from a profit and loss statement, that's okay, because we have a partnership with an organization called SCORE. Now, SCORE is the nation's largest network of certified business mentors, and it is a free service that is provided by Small Business Administration in order to help you with having access to certified business counselors. Now, these counselors are not snake oil salesmen. They have to take a code of ethics each year, and it's a rigorous standard to maintain. So within Greater Maryland, specifically, let's say Greater Baltimore, ranging from Howard County on to Hartford County, there are up to 6 locations where you can go to meet with a SCORE mentor, as well as meet via phone or phone, email, and video. So go to greaterbaltimore.score.org, register, it's free, and let's get your next Microsoft practice up and running. Call for speakers. Now, you may not be as great as Rima Reyes, but your voice, your perspective definitely matters. So Your session doesn't have to be 45 to 60 minutes. It can be a 10-minute break fix. This is what I learned. This is what I'm working on. Can you give me some feedback? Our audience, our group, our community is very open, and we can help guide you as far as, let's say, I'm delivering this presentation at, let's say, SP Fest, for example, and I just want to work out the material. We'll give you feedback. So it's a very warm audience, and if you want to deliver a presentation, please leave your details in the chat or comment on the social media platform that you're viewing this on. Just put call for speakers in the description, and you will be contacted within 48 hours. Special thanks to our streaming partners. Let's say a Black Professional Men is streaming this, score.org, SBA, and those of you who are tuning in on Baltimore Sharepoint social media channels, as well as my own, thank you for tuning in to this broadcast. And now, without further ado, I bring to the stage a longtime member of the Sharepoint community, a longtime friend of the program. This lady is the principal program manager in Microsoft Teams Engineering Product Group. Let's say that again.
It's a mouthful, don't worry about it.
She leads the regulated industry segment for the Teams platform. She works with partners and customers in a wide range of industries, ranging from government to financial services. In a past life, she had a long career in SharePoint with the good folks at Northrop Grumman, as well as Hewlett Packard and Microsoft Federal. Get this fun fact, she was also one of the founding members of the Women in SharePoint DC. So she has the local roots, ladies and gentlemen. And today, right now, you get to interact with the Rima Reyes to learn how to build applications in Microsoft Teams, Bethesda's own. Rima Reyes, take it away, please.
Woo, thank you. Can you all hear me okay, hopefully?
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Yes, I am all about Maryland. Yeah, even though I was born in DC, sorry, I was raised really, and I've been in Montgomery County all my life, so minus college, obviously. But yeah, so I'm a like a local yokel, as they call it. So go Maryland. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Shadid. Yeah, I mean, your user group has been long and famous, so I'm really excited to be talking to everybody here today. So we're going to be talking about building apps for Microsoft Teams. I love the unleashing the power of the platform. I mean, it sounds so exciting, which I promise it will be. As Shadid mentioned, I'm a program manager in Microsoft Teams. So I'm actually in the engineering org. And here we go, let's see. Y'all can see my slides, right? We're good?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I've been in Teams for about a little over 3 years. And a few months ago, actually, like in the summer, I actually switched teams within Teams. That's like Inception for you. Where my first part of my role in Teams engineering was working with customers in the federal government and DoD. And then a few months prior, I decided, hey, like I'm going to switch and I want to learn more about how partners build apps for our platform, for the Teams App Store. And since I'm a glutton for punishment and love, you know, PII, security, like anything regulated, which a lot of regulated industries share some of the same, like, you know, common ideas around this, you know, it was given to me that, hey, you know, you should run regulated industry partners and helping them bring their solutions into Teams. And so I'm part of this team called the Platform Ecosystem Team. And when we talk about Teams platform and we talk about the ecosystem, What we're really talking about is how can we utilize functionality in Teams as a developer or as a coder and actually bring existing applications or services into Teams to really meet users where they are. So that's me kind of in a nutshell. That's my role. I still love SharePoint. I still give like a lot of guidance on SharePoint to my colleagues and to partners who are using SharePoint. So the love is always there. I will never forget it. SharePoint is still, my number one. So we're going to go through a quick overview and what the app landscape looks like in Teams. And then we're going to dive into the platform capabilities, and then I'll leave you all with some resources. So most folks know about Teams, chat meetings and collab with our core, first-party solutions like Word and PowerPoint. But apps might be a little new to some folks. It just really depends, right? Some organizations, especially in Gov or regulated, they tend to shy away from third-party apps or even from building apps on their own because sometimes it's a little difficult for them to navigate that space. We are making things 100% easier. Things are going to get much easier down the pike here very soon with building an app. So whether you are someone who knows how to code or doesn't, there's always a way to actually bring an app into Teams. We like to think about apps being a place where you can engage your users or your people where they already are. So some of the ready-to-use applications that we have are obviously those core Office 365 applications, those first-party apps like PowerPoint and Word and SharePoint. And then we also have these other external applications from partners. So think about services that you use today. Maybe you have to navigate to their website, or maybe you have to work separately in those environments. We offer a ton of integrations of those other services and platforms and bringing them into Teams. Folks can also build custom applications too that are either organization specific or organization based that tie directly into maybe some of their custom services that I have today. Or sometimes folks want to build vertical solutions specifically around healthcare. That's a big industry that I'm working in right now. So there's a lot of specifics around that. And so I work with partners who are building solutions specific to what the healthcare industry needs. We have over 800 third-party apps in the Teams App Store, and it's growing day by day. It's pretty amazing. We have an awesome app review team. So just like the Apple App Store or like the Windows App Store or the Google Play App Store, they have a team of folks who actually sit there and review all of the apps before they get published into our marketplace. Same thing with us. We've got a great team of folks who work basically 24/7 to go through app submissions and make sure that they follow all of our security protocols, security checks before getting published into our app store, public app store. When building an app, there's a lot of common use cases that customers and partners are thinking about when they're building these apps. So a lot of times we think about hybrid workplace. We want to empower our employees. Maybe we want to have some like feel good scenarios where we want employee engagement to be increased, or we want our employees to be happier. There's also apps that can help engage your customers. If you're a company or a business that has customers out in the ether and you want to bring them closer to your service, you can absolutely do that. Apps can also help optimize operations. Think of help desk, right? So we've got a lot of folks. I would say every organization probably has a help desk somewhere. Having those integrations and automating some of those help desk workflows right in Teams is a really, really great feature. And then obviously transforming existing products. So let's say you're a company that has a project management tool or manages services incidents like help desk, right? How do you bring those capabilities from your service that's offered today to give your users a better experience? And this can be, again, with either a third-party app or even a custom-built app. So apps are apps, in my opinion, right? Like they're just really bringing the Teams platform to the next level above and beyond the chat, the meetings, and the basic collab. So When we talk about Teams platform capabilities, I'm going to talk about all the different extensibility points of how you can kind of enter into the Teams user interface. And sometimes this isn't like the clearest, I guess, defined way that, that Microsoft tends to talk about this, which is why I think this is so important to talk about, coming from, the platform ecosystem team and understanding these capabilities through and through. I think it's super important to communicate this in a very easy to understand, clear way, without you all having to kind of dive through the minutia of like developer documentation or anything like that. And I think what's important about this is that this session isn't just for developers. If you're an information worker or business user or an analyst that is thinking, hey, like I could really make this process better, or I wish this process was more integrated into how I communicate on Teams, it's important to know this stuff because it's going to give you some aha moments about the different kind of modalities that you can use in Teams to actually integrate your process. And maybe you can then talk to a developer or someone, someone in IT to say, hey, how do we get, this process a little bit more automated and integrated really deeply into Teams? In my role, since I work with partners and kind of help them understand, what makes a great app, we have some best practices, and these are good rules to live by. So when you're building an app, you want to think about, does the app promote collaboration, right? Is it going to spark users to kind of collaborate with each other? Does it integrate deeply within our platform? Like, does it use the best of, Teams capabilities to provide that best-in-class experience? Is it accessible, right? Microsoft thinks accessibility is a very important role for anyone, right? So you want to be inclusive in nature whenever you build an app. So that's really important to making sure that your app is accessible. And do you provide, a unique value? There's a lot of apps, I think, out there for users today, both custom that's been created by the organization or third party. And I think it's important for developers to really focus, what value am I providing here? I don't want to repurpose value that they may have already somewhere else. How can I drive that uniqueness in my app? Also driving awareness. We want to, promote your integration with those users, both inside and outside of Teams, to encourage that adoption and ongoing engagement. Meaning, how are you going to make your app known even within your organization? We in the Teams org, we have a couple of different, go-to-market benefits whenever we work with partners. If anybody's ever interested in that, let me know, hit me up. I'm happy to talk about that after and maybe send out some resources. We also say, hey, make it easy to use, build trust, make sure that, your app is secure. It's not, allowing data to kind of leak at certain boundaries. And make sure that you're building your app so that it's rendering across different devices. And we have some shortcuts to that too, so I'll explain some of that later on. And then finally, the underpinning of all of that is to make sure that it's really keeping your users engaged. Oh, so somebody just asked a great question. Can Teams apps work in SharePoint Online as well? That is a great question. We have something that's going to be coming down further down the road. If anybody's ever heard of the term Meta OS, we're trying this concept of one app to kind of serve them all. So eventually we'll have the capability where if you build an app for Teams, you could also have it show up in SharePoint, in Outlook, in Word, like you would have all of these integration points across the M365 stack, which is going to be so cool. Like, I can't wait. All right, I'll go through. Sometimes this animation's a little nutty. Okay, here we go. Here's the full slide. So when you build these unique apps for Teams, you want to make sure that your platform is connected to today's workforce. And how you do that is by using, kind of like this external bubble that we have here. You've got the Microsoft Bot framework available to you. You can use web technologies. You can use SharePoint. Who doesn't love that here, right? Power Platform. I mean, who's ever thought about, integrating a Power App into a Teams app? Beautiful. It's great stuff. Same thing with Power Automate. Who doesn't want to automate workflows? I do that for myself, for my own personal productivity, just because I like to take extra steps to be lazy in the future. So using Power Automate tends to be really easy and fun for me. I used to be really excited and utilize SharePoint Designer back in the day. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I loved SharePoint Designer. Obviously, Power Automate has got way more features and is way more feature rich. So I like using those same concepts of automating my own productivity within Teams using Power Automate. Finally, so we've also got GitHub to manage your source code or to actually go see what other people have posted in terms of apps. You can always reuse code there. Graph really provides the underpinning API for how you can customize certain scenarios or certain apps. And then finally, you can build and publish your apps through Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. So that's that outer layer. That second layer in the purple are all the platform capabilities I'm actually going to get into. So I'm not going to talk about them now. And then the inner circle there is talking about, where you can publish your app, and I'll talk about that in a few slides here. We've got 4 different app scopes. So when you think about an app in Teams, it can be a personal app, meaning that app is just for you. Maybe it's not part of a team. It's just, it's just for your own context only. You can have apps in a one-on-one chat or a group chat. You can also have apps embedded inside of a team inside of channels. And more recently, you can add apps in meetings, which has been really awesome. So having that, my manager loves to take surveys using Poly. Poly is free. So we add that app to our meetings, and he's like, hey, what do people think we should do next? And people can actually vote right within the meeting, and he can see those results right away. So really, really cool. Yes, happy days of SharePoint Designer. Thank you. Oh, man. Sorry, Joe. I know it's not really a memory for you, unfortunately, for you being on-prem. All right. When we talk about these platform capabilities, there's 3 different areas that I think are really important to kind of break down, what you're really looking at here. And so the first part is these extensibility points, which is where information is surfaced within Teams. So surfaced is the key operative word there. Then you've got these UI constructs, which is how information is surfaced. Again, surface being the construct there, key construct there. And then the data intelligence is really how apps are personalized, either to the user's experience or based upon the process of what they're trying to accomplish or do. And so what does this mean? So these extensibility points, again, I'm going to show you picture-wise, what they look like, because reading a lot of text on a screen makes no sense. But at a high level, we've got bots, we've got these things called message extensions, we've got meeting extensions, custom notifications, share to teams, all this great stuff. And then from a UI perspective, we have this thing called adaptive cards and task modules and custom tabs. And then the underpinning to all of that is using Graph API. All right. Oh, so more questions. Of the Teams app scopes, which is the most exciting to you in terms of building apps? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say, I think meetings are really captivating, probably because that's new, but I think there's so much unyielded potential when it comes to meeting apps. For example, I'm working with a lot of healthcare partners who are building apps to empower clinicians for virtual visits, and how we can really help that patient experience using a Teams meeting app. Super cool stuff. I mean, just phenomenal breakthrough capabilities there that's just, the landscape there is just going to be blowing up here very, very soon. Adaptive cards are fun. Thank you, Joe. All right, so let's dive into it. So the first platform capability that I want to talk about is a personal app and custom tabs inside of a personal app. So like I mentioned before, you can have a personal app that shows information just related to you. A great example of a personal app is using tasks by To-Do or Planner. You can install Planner as a personal app and see all of your tasks related to, what you have to do across all of your teams. It doesn't matter, you're not in a team when you're in a personal app. It's just for the individual user scope, and you can see everything across the board. If you have Planner or tasks installed in a team, then you would see things that are related to the team versus just you. So having that switch in context is really key. I think that shows, it allows users to have that productivity depending on where they're at in teams is how they want to work, which I think that's really awesome. I use personally the tasks and to-do part, very frequently, both for myself and both when I'm in a team. Also, by the way, personal apps are usually in the app bar, which is that bar on the left-hand side. So I don't know if you can see it right here. Here, actually, point using my cursor over here. So the app bar is right over here, and that's where your personal apps are going to live. The second part of this is having a custom tab in a team. And again, like custom tabs can be in both a personal app or in a Teams app. And what that really means is that, do you see this like little tab up here? Here, let me actually switch over. I don't know if you can see, it says Contoso right there. There's that personal app tab right there. You can embed an existing, web service. You can embed adaptive cards within a Teams context. You can build for both desktop and mobile really, really easily. This is a great way to showcase a canvas that's specific to your app and bring that right into Teams or right into a personal app. And by the way, after this, Shadi, don't let me forget, I need to share the presentation with you. I just need to PDF it really quick after we're done. And that way everybody can have, everything that's in here. So
sounds like a plan.
I'm all about sharing. Sharing is caring. Barney taught us well. The third piece is bots. Now, bots are really, really cool. I don't know if folks that had much experience with bots. For those of us who are in commercial tenants, meaning like, enterprise tenants, not gov, you've got this thing called Power Virtual Agents, although actually it might be available in gov too by now. But Power Virtual Agents allows users to actually build their own bots. I built a Rima bot because I was tired of people asking me questions inside of Microsoft. I was like, because everybody was always asking me about Gov, and I really just was like, hey, go ask the Rima bot. If the Rima bot doesn't know, then it can go schedule a meeting with me. So I just did that for fun, but it ended up working pretty well. So that helped kind of cue a lot of questions before actually coming to me. Again, I like to take steps in order to be lazy in the future. So that was one fun thing. You can also build custom bots in Teams, obviously using the Azure bot service. You can connect that into Teams, and there's a whole slew of opportunities here when it comes to bots. You can automate tasks or specific workflows for users naturally through a user having a conversation with a bot. So you can say, Contoso bot, or whatever your bot is named, maybe we'll call it Rima bot. Rima bot, go set a reminder for Tuesday at 2 p.m. to do XYZ thing, and then a bot can take that request and actually go do their thing behind the scenes and automate that reminder for you. Bots are really unique in the sense that it provides easy user engagement. So most folks, regardless of what generation they're in, they're familiar with bots because there's a lot of bots on websites. Like whenever I have to fight Verizon for my Fios bill, I have to go through the bot first, unfortunately. But I mean, it's just, most people are just, commonplace, like very, very familiar with that feature. It also can seamlessly blend, external services with the conversation in the natural kind of context. So that's really key. So you can just have a conversation and say, hey, Rima bot, I want to go see all of the things that I have to do for tomorrow. Okay, great. And then it can bring that information to you right within that conversation. And bots can be interactive too. So you can have, you can suggest to users like, hey, like, here's how you can talk to the bot, and you can have some pre-canned, what's it called, like sayings or phrases that the user can click on and actually instantiate, a conversation with the bot. So users don't have to necessarily know how to talk to the bot. You can educate users using the context of using like pre-canned phrases as well. Bots are also great, by the way, this is the final thing I'll say about bots, but bots are great at educating people on something. So let's say a user needs to learn more about the app that you have, and that bot is part of your app, and that user says, hey, I need help. The bot can actually walk through the user through a help guide essentially, and give them some sort of step-by-step guidance around how to use an app. we've had a lot of customers in my prior role who built custom bots for teams to train them or educate them on teams, which I thought was really cool. Another really fun way that a customer used a bot was there was some federal mandates or guidance that was this massive 98-page document. This was like around COVID. And so this federal mandate had to be really like everybody would have to, find out like what that is. It was given to all employees. Instead of having every user in that organization read 98 pages, there was a bot that you could ask the bot some questions and it would go scan the document, find the answer, and spit it back to you. So like another really cool way to use bots. Just really fun. And something to note, all of these features that I'm talking about, they're all parts of a single app. So this doesn't have to be like just bots or just custom tabs or just this. All of these aspects actually make up an entire app. So you can choose what you want to use in terms of platform capabilities. You can use all, you can use one, you can use some. It's really up to you. So there's a lot of flexibility here. Yes, adaptive cards are not yet in Gov, but they are coming soon. So do not worry. I have been asking about that. I believe bots, by the way, just to like kind of, give some insight. I believe bots for GCC High are coming here soon. So just, stay tuned for that. So Shadid, you asked, is there a software development kit or template center to get up and running with bots in Teams? Yes. So if you click on this link, there will be a ton of information there about bots. I highly recommend looking at that. I'm all about links and info. I'm like, don't tell me about it unless you tell me where to go where I can research it. Another part of the Teams platform is custom notifications. So if you build an app and you want to notify a user, hey, something's due, or by the way, somebody is trying to, call your attention to something, or this document, needs to be worked on, it needs to be finished by 5. You can actually build custom notifications in your app. So there's 2 different options. You can have a pop-up that shows up that's native to the Teams pop-up notifications, or you can have a bot notify a user. So you can have a bot actually instantiate and message a user and say, hey, Rima, like dummy, like your thing's due in like 24 hours, like what you gonna do about it? So I love that. I love actually a bot actually, at mentioning me and telling me I have something to do. All of these notifications show up in the activity feed. And what's really cool, just like a secret tip, you can filter the activity feed on just apps. So you can filter to say what notifications have come just from your apps versus like app mentions and replies and all of that. So something really cool. And people don't usually see that, but it's that like filter icon at the top. All right. Oh man. All right. Oops, I think. Oh no, what happened to my little, oh, okay, there we go. Phew. Let's look what happened to the picture. So message extensions. Actually, you know what, before we get into this part of the presentation, I want to pause for a second because I know I just word vomited a ton of information. Do we have any questions from the audience? Feel free to go off mute if you can. And I'll wait for a minute while.
Yes, Rima. In your personal journey, let's say with getting up to speed with building applications in Teams, what would you say was, can you describe your learning curve? Was it challenging? Was it, working with other applications made it easier? Was it a completely new path for you?
It was a new path because I had some experience in developing apps for SharePoint, but they were totally different. And I grew up in the on-prem days too. So like, having like a hosted app or like a, app integrations was very difficult, was very different and also difficult in terms of how you built and how you deployed in a SharePoint. I remember like, deploying everything into the Hive. So
the Hive. Oh goodness. Yes.
Right. I'm like, I feel so old now, but I think for me, when I saw a presentation that was very similar to this, that showed screenshots of how that platform capability look like in Teams, that's when I had my aha moment. And for me, at the time, I was just starting to help government customers, understand like what this meant, right? Because they were starting to get these features. So I was like, oh my gosh, I really better be up to snuff about, what I'm telling them. And I think having, this kind of presentation where there was context given for every single type of platform capability, to me made it real. And then I understood, okay, like if I'm thinking about an app that wants to, do XYZ, where would I want to plug in that information? And then I had kind of, I have my little like choice, my deck of cards, so to speak. Like, do I want a message extension? Why? Do I need custom notifications for my app? Why? So I think having this as a blueprint would be probably really helpful. So that's why I want to make sure I give this presentation to folks, because the way we present this information on docs.microsoft.com is a little bland. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, it's very deep and rich of information, but it's very texty. And where you want to see like visual examples, you kind of have to dig. I can show at the end too, like some hidden secrets when it comes to seeing examples of what you can do with platform. So I'll give you like a little like hint. Don't let me forget. It's called Figma. It's a UI designer, and there's a Teams UI kit, and you don't have to have a license. You can just look through it, and it gives you a ton of ideas.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll make sure to have. I don't think I have that link actually at the end, so I'll make sure to add it before I PDF it. All right, so let's talk about message extensions. So when you're in Teams, you can actually add an app to a conversation before you even initiate the conversation. So think about, and I wish Sharepoint had this, but like think about you want to share a document with someone, right? And let's say you want to go search across like all of Sharepoint to go find that document and bring it in. Or you want to go search across all of your tasks and go find that task and bring it in. You can absolutely do that with message extensions. So here, I don't know if y'all can see it, but there's a box that pops up when the user clicks on that little icon. So that's the app icon. That message extension window pops up. And there can be a pre-canned set of like objects that the user can click on or select from. And what happens is it embeds that object directly into the chat, which is so cool. So that way, your user doesn't have to go to a browser, go hit copy and paste, or copy and then paste it into a chat. They can actually interact with that app directly into Teams while they're already talking to someone. So if I'm like, okay, Shadid, I totally forgot, I'm working on something and I want to share it with you, I can go bring up that message extension, go hit search, find that item, pop it into that message bar, and boom, Shadid will essentially be able to click on that link and go directly to the app or the service. What's cool about message extension is that it's available in all the app scopes. So you can have it in a personal app. You can have it in a, what's it called? Like when you're using a bot, for example, that's how you would use it in a personal app. You can have it in like one-on-one chats or group conversations. You can have it in meetings. I mean, message extensions are pretty powerful. And they really provide a shortcut to bringing in information without the user having to go search for it. So, and then we have something called message actions. So the other thing, the previous thing that I talked about, message extensions. So that's before you hit send on a chat. Message actions are after a chat has already been sent. So you can actually add an app to a message after somebody sent you something. So let's say like, Shadid says, hey, Rima, like you forgot to do this. I can go click on the ellipses. And if my app has this option, I can go say, okay, no, I need to go create a new work item based upon, what Shadid told me. So that's another like key, like it's a shortcut. It's a great shortcut to bring all that information in. And what's cool about this is that with a message action, you can have some of that information that's in that chat pre-populated in that new work item, right? So like if Shadid's saying, hey, Rima, like make sure to reference this, this, and this, and maybe there's a paragraph of information. When I create that new work item, it can have all of that stuff pre-canned. It can say it originated from Shadid, it's assigned to Rima, all of that. So there's some automation there too that makes the user's life a little bit easier. We also have something called task modules. I hate the term task modules because it doesn't really have to be for tasks. It's a pop-up window. That's really like what task modules are. So forget the name task modules. I mean, we'll remember it, but forget the fact that it's not, it's not just related to tasks. It can be related to anything. What it really is this like block or this window that pops up in Teams that allows the user to focus on what's at the screen at that time, and it grays everything out behind it. So think about, when you're creating a new request or filling out a form, right, for the user, they can have a task module pop up where that way they focus on just that form and they don't have to, navigate to all these different tabs to do that. So it's really flexible too. You can embed a whole bunch of different things inside of a task module. Like you can embed an iframe, although sometimes it looks ugly. But you can use adaptive cards, which I'm going to talk about adaptive cards next. Adaptive cards allow you to render things very, very prettily. I guess that's not really a word. You can render things in a very pretty way, like graphs or a list of items or charts or anything really. And they can be interactive too. So they can have buttons on them and like clickable forms or fill-in fields. It's just a great way to showcase and focus content to a user. Okay, adaptive cards. I know somebody on this call is excited about adaptive cards. I am too. Adaptive cards are literally the unsung hero of apps. If there's one thing I want you all to like just focus on or pay attention to, it's adaptive cards. Adaptive cards provides this easy web framework essentially to embed inside of a chat message, inside of a task module, inside of a tab even. And it provides a really sleek look in how you want to display content. What's awesome about adaptive cards is that we have this website called Adaptive Cards Designer. I think it's adaptivecardsdesigner.io. I have the link at the end. And it's literally WYSIWYG, meaning like you can drag and drop objects or items into that adaptive card to build your adaptive card. Like I've built a weather adaptive card and added it to a bot. And I'm not a developer by any means, like I'm not, a hardcore developer by any means, but I was able to do that using the Adaptive Card Designer, which basically gave me the JSON code at the end after I was done designing it. So like basically you drag and drop all your fields, like a text field, picture field, blah, 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 connect it to your app, right? And then it gives you the JSON payload. You copy and paste that payload and put it into your bot or put it into your app. It just makes things a lot easier. What's cool about adaptive cards is that right now you can embed several adaptive cards or one massive adaptive card inside of a personal app tab or custom app tab for a personal app. In the future, this will be the model around any app that we have in Teams. So, and hopefully, I think in the future too, for any app across our M365 stack, because it's all web-based, right? And it's all very like light and easy to load and interactive. And so eventually in a Teams app, you will be able to embed adaptive cards there as well. That's coming very soon too. So if you're a developer and you're thinking, like, how do I make an app or how do I build a really like pretty app or visually appealing app, but I don't want to spend a lot of time figuring out like what to use in terms of UI, definitely invest some time in adaptive cards. We've got a ton of training, a ton of videos, a ton of examples. Even the Adaptive Cards website has information about their roadmap, which is phenomenal. It's very detailed about what's coming down the pike. So again, like this is the one thing I would say, pay attention to, because this is going to be the wave of the future. Adaptive cards too, by the way, can also be used when you're interacting with a bot in chat. And so that's what this example looks like. This bot says, hey, do you want to take a tour? Do you want to learn more about what I can do? And everything that's in that blue box is what the adaptive card is. So it's got like a header text and a picture and a button. And so again, adaptive, meaning it can adapt to what the user's inputs are. It even has pagination. If you look at that little like gray caret on the right, users can paginate via different windows, like different screens right within that same adaptive card. And if data changes in the web service and needs to be rendered in that adaptive card, you can also have live updates as well, which is really cool. Adaptive cards also, by the way, I forgot to mention, is a great way to build for both desktop and mobile, and tablet too, I guess. I consider tablet as mobile, but so if you're a developer and you hate building different UIs based upon the device, take a look at adaptive cards. I'm telling you, it's going to save you a ton of time. It's just the easiest way to really bring in these really great app experiences into Teams. Something else that we have is called link unfurling, which is like the weirdest name ever, but it provides a preview to something that that you're copying and pasting. So for example, we have Azure boards. We use Azure DevOps, internally in Teams to track and manage things. And I wanted to copy and paste a link of something that I'm working on, a partner. I named it Rima Inc. So as soon as I copy and paste the link, it's going to actually nicely format the link, and it's going to say, hey, like, you haven't signed into this app. And as soon as I sign in, it's actually going to change that link into an adaptive card. So it unfurls the link and makes it really pretty. So that way, when you send that information, it's super clean. It's not this like 500 character URL that somebody doesn't understand what they're looking at. They have to click on it before they do. This gives the information to the user even before they click on that link. So that's really, really key. And if you notice, when I signed in, it actually installed that app right there as a message extension underneath. So I don't know if you can see. Let me show you. Right here is where the Azure DevOps app is. So really cool stuff. We also have something called Share to Teams. So this is pre-canned code that we provide you. You can find it on our website. I forgot to link it actually in here. I will do that before I PDF it. But you can embed this Share to Teams button on any existing website. Most folks are also familiar with Share to Teams in Outlook. You have like a button in the ribbon that says Share to Teams. It's the same UI, which is really nice for users because that way, they see it one place and they have it, they have it everywhere. It allows folks essentially to share a specific item or object from an external place and bring that into Teams. I use this a lot on mobile. So whenever I try to share like a photo with someone, like from my iOS device, and I click share and click on Teams, it actually brings up the Share to Teams like module on mobile where I go find the person that I want to share my photo with and write a little message and boom, and hit send. So I wonder if they're using adaptive cards. I'm joking. And then finally, we have meetings apps. And so again, this is newer, but when you're looking at the construct of a meeting, you've got a couple of core things. The first thing is the shared meeting stage. So that's that like big area of where you're sharing content. You can embed an app in there. You also have the side panel where you can embed app information in there, or bots even. And then you also have chat, which can essentially switch over from the side panel, which also, again, embedding bots, message extensions, or other custom tabs. So building a meeting app or using meeting extensions has been really great. There's going to be a lot more coming for meetings apps, so just stay tuned. This is going to be a big place that we invest in just because obviously we know COVID things. I think like I last heard that things are starting to get locked down again. So having this sort of like hybrid work where meetings are so key to our day-to-day jobs, this space, just watch the space because there's going to be a lot more coming. All right, and some resources.
Just really quickly, Rima, you have a question from Naveen in the chat.
Oh, okay, Naveen. When will PVA Teams app be available for GCC? I don't know. I thought it was already available, but maybe I would double check with your system administrator or your IT admin. in Gov, a lot of admins tend to like lock down things for reasons that they do on their own. I don't know. So I would talk to your admin and say, hey, you know, is PVA available? Maybe they can just give it to you individually, so that you can play around with it. I would definitely ask. So if we've got any folks on the call that are in GCC, let's say you don't see third-party apps, it is available to you. Your IT admin just probably, you know, locked it down. Same thing with PVA and other services. If you see a lot less than what you're supposed to, be sure to you know, make a request. I'll go off on this quick tangent. So when I first joined Teams Engineering, it was my personal mission to really get Gov at the forefront of Teams and to make everyone in the Teams organization pay attention to the importance of Gov. A lot of folks don't know this, but like Teams inside of the federal government has saved thousands upon thousands of lives. I'm not kidding. Like just with COVID alone and with other certain like war-based scenarios, Teams has been front and center, and it's been such an honor to even be a part of that. So that's why I love Teams. I mean, I love government too, but I would say what's interesting is that, you know, IT admins want to enable their people to do their work and to save these lives as best as they can. But sometimes security might get in the way and say, hey, like, we don't know enough about this, so we don't want to enable this. So I think it's always a push and pull. Make sure if you're a user and you want to have access to something, talk to your admin and say why, right? I think most folks, you know, in government leadership are really reasonable and they want to empower their users. They just haven't had a reason to enable that feature yet. And so maybe you would be the catalyst, just as I was the catalyst within Teams to get all those features out as soon as possible. We are always going to be a little bit behind in Gov just because of FedRAMP and DISA, you know, regulations or, you know, accreditation reviews. But if you start noticing on docs.microsoft.com, you'll start seeing caveats for Gov. That's all me because I push to have Gov be a part of the process whenever a future PM is creating a docs page. And they you know, they have, because that future PM has to, you know, own the documentation around it. So now they have to do a check for Gov and they have to include information for Gov. So that is like the one big thing I think I've like really influenced has been like roadmap, parity, timeline, and also documentation. So that's been exciting. Oh, yes. Okay. So it says it's not available on GCC yet. Great. Thank you. See, that's awesome. All right. And then finally, I've got a ton of curated resources here. So definitely, again, when I send this out via PDF, take a look. And there's obviously more links inside of the deck too. I tried to curate, you know, based upon what I see is like really interesting and what people are they want to kind of read or look at. So definitely take a look. If you're interested in adaptive cards, here's Adaptive Card Designer. Woo woo. And then finally, I wanted to show the Adaptive Card Designer webpage as well as maybe a free app that people might be interested in using that's great for kind of mental health and taking workday breaks. Do I have time for that, Shadi?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, awesome. So let me stop sharing really quick. Oh, here we go. Did it stop sharing? You don't still see my screen, do you? Hopefully not.
No, it's you on camera.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me. All right. All right, I'm loading it really quick. All right, so let me go here. Okay, so let me share my screen. There we go. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see my screen.
Yes.
Good. Okay, perfect. Okay. So there is a really cool app. I'll start off with this app first. It's called Breakthrough. It actually shows up right here, but I'll spell it out for you so you all can see it. It's Breakthrough with a THRU. I love this app because this app is a kind of like, hey, like I want to kind of calm, like center myself. And there is a free trial associated with it. My trial is never ended though, so you know, who knows. It's a personal app, but it's also an app that has a message extension and has a bot with it. So if you're interested in like how to like what makes a great Teams app or what are all the different things that Rima just talked about, go download the Breakthrough app because this is a beautiful example of what an app can look like. And so right here, I've got a bot that gives me some suggestions so I can schedule like break reminders to kind of take some time in the morning or in the afternoon to center myself. I can also track like how I'm feeling throughout the day. So let's say like right now I'm feeling energized. I can mark that in the bot, and it'll actually take me to this like self-paced tab where it uses my camera to help guide me through some like meditation exercises. Love that. I also have a history tab here. This is a custom tab with all these adaptive cards in here that again, like visually represent the information that, you know, of like what I've done with Breakthrough. So again, I can log my mood states directly from here and it'll show over the month, like, you know, what my mood states have been over time. And then I can set up these reminders. So let's say I want to have a reminder to start my day. You know, here's a reminder. I'll start a new one. I can click on the plus sign here. This shows a task module with an adaptive card embedded to showcase, hey, I'm going to actually set a reminder for, let's do 8 p.m. Here we go. And maybe I only want to do it on, you know, on Mondays. So that way I can only select these days and I can hit set reminder. And what's great about this is that it comes up with a custom notification. The bot will remind me, you know, hey, you need to take a break. So it's really fun to kind of look at this app. It's like I said, it's free. It's great. You can use it inside of a team. You can send well wishes to your teammates. I tend to do that too, to say, hey, like I'm feeling energized. I hope everybody has a good day. It's just like a really good feel good app. And that's really nice to look at. So that's exciting. And then finally, I will show Adaptive Card Designer. So here we go. So as this loads, here you can actually, you know, you've got a default card schema that's given to you. Again, you can move certain things, you can drag and drop, you can edit, you know, whatever you want on the card. And again, it'll give you the payload at the bottom that you can just copy and paste. You've got a ton of different options. So when I select new card, it will give you a bunch of different samples that you can use. So like this one's for flights, right? This will show like a flight example. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can start from an existing example and then kind of add your preferences along the way. For folks who are in commercial too, if you're using Power Automate, you can embed adaptive cards in your workflows. So when you know, the Flow bot or the Power Automate bot pings you, it can respond with an adaptive card. So it's a really easy way to kind of use one of these adaptive cards, bring it into Power Automate workflow, and see what it looks like. I think that's a really fun way to do it if you're just playing around. So yeah, all right. Well, thank you so much. I'll end here, and of course I'll answer any questions. So let me stop sharing really quick. Oh, thank you, Joe. Yes, you put the link. That's awesome. Yes, and so it's not going to be ready just yet, but so give me like maybe later on tonight, maybe in like half an hour and an hour. Probably give me an hour. The presentation is going to be available at that link. I think I just put, yep. Oh, actually, no, I put it in the wrong link. I'm so sorry. I mistyped that. Ignore that one. It's aka.ms/Rima content. My apologies. Don't use the first one. I wish I could delete my previous message. So
Okay, ladies and gents, if you have any questions for Rima, you can use the chat or you can unmute yourself.
Yes.
Also, if you have any feedback on Rima's presentation, here's two things that I would like for you to do. Either A, comment on your key takeaway, what you learned, the aha moment, the light bulb moment within the chat, or go to Rima's LinkedIn profile. Rima, put your LinkedIn profile in the chat and leave a recommendation on her profile.
So my LinkedIn is this. And then I forgot to also mention my Twitter, so I could give that here as well. There we go.
My number one takeaway was using bots for, let's say, frequently asked questions. And so we all have at least 10 questions that we're asked all the time in our workday, and using a bot to say, well, if this isn't answered here, then scheduling a meeting. I think that would free up at least 5 to 10 hours per work week, at least.
It's amazing what bots can do. Joe bot, yeah. I'm telling you, like having a bot to like basically be your personal assistant is awesome. Totally recommend doing it.
I will as soon as it comes to the GovClouds.
Oh, sorry, I know.
That's par for the course.
We're getting there. I promise.
And keep in mind, you can save the chat. If you go to the right of the emoji, so there's a document icon, there's an emoji icon, and there's 3 dots, and click that and save the chat. That will write a text file to your desktop, and all the comments in the chat, including the links, will be included.
Hey, Rima, under the aka.ms/Rima, I got to your OneDrive. Which is your deck that you just presented?
Oh, the aka.ms/Rima content will have my deck. It's not there yet. It's probably going to be there within the hour because I just need to make sure that I update it.
Okay, roger that. Cool.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good.
It's yeah, so. But I've got a ton of great stuff in there, so feel free to like peruse and use whatever you want. Just saying, which is why I like doing this, because for me, like, again, like I like sharing information because I feel like information should be shared. Why not? If we're all like, you know, more educated, why not? So there's some really fun things in there is the Teams Quick Start Guide, which is really, I really like it. So if you've got new users who don't know or maybe need like some sort of printable guide, that's a great one. I also have like learning resources separately in its own slide deck. I have another like much deeper extensibility overview. So if you're looking at more screenshots or more information about extensibility, take a look at that one. And then I've got like other slides that I've done in previous sessions. So
The do's and don'ts of deploying Microsoft Teams in the United States government.
it's a popular one.
I'm gonna read that one just to find out how many don'ts my agency hit. I believe that they hit all. They got 100%. I believe in them.
It's a great one. The other good one too is the Teams Fast Path. So that took me 2 weeks full time to get all of that content together. But that was really as a need for COVID to say, how should you configure your environment for Teams specifically for Gov? Even though most government agencies already have Teams, definitely take a look at that deck to see Have I configured anything incorrectly, potentially? Or what are some recommendations around that? So that's also a good beefy one too. Yeah, but I'll make sure to have my slide deck up within the hour. I just want to make sure I add some of the extra content that we talked about today into the slide deck. So.
Cool beans.
Yeah, sorry for not being prepped before. I was like, oh, I thought I put links in every slide, and I want to make sure you all have all the best links in the world.
It's all good.
Oh, you were saying something about like a Sigma or some sort of
Figma.
app UI.
Thank you. I forgot about that one. Thank you. Okay, hold on. Let me
Figma is cool.
So because I have to deal with UX and like UI and design, so I work with partners to say, okay, like how do we build a really neat design? We internally at Microsoft have a license to Figma, but what's really cool about Figma is that we have this community like UI kit. And so let's say you don't have a license to Figma. That's fine. If you go to this URL, which I will include here in the chat, you can, here's like a hidden trick, and sometimes it takes a little long to like load because it's a big, I guess, file that's loading on the web page every single time. Once it finishes, it's going to have this like tree, and I'll show you how to navigate through it, but it shows all these cool examples of adaptive cards or, you know, templates or whatever. And this is what the Microsoft team uses for design mockups. So like whenever we're designing either apps with partners or even internally for like what we're thinking about, like this button or this feature, we use Figma. I don't know why it's taking this long. Let's see. I think I have to yell at Verizon again for Figma service. But come on, load. It's almost there. This is a hidden treasure. I promise, I swear to you, if folks can actually access this on their own, they might be able to kind of see this, but this is a hidden gem. Oh, yes, here it is. Okay. So if I go to app capabilities right here, so you'll see like on the bottom left, it'll have this like menu. So if you go to app capabilities, and let's say we go to like adaptive cards right here, right? Because you know I'm crazy about adaptive cards. And I know it looks small, but you can zoom in, right? There we go. There's also keyboard shortcuts that you can use with this. So just FYI. But it has like a bunch of different options on how, adaptive cards can look like. So you can kind of like look at this and navigate and see, okay, like here's an example, here's another example of like what adaptive cards should look like. So definitely take a look at this because it's got a lot of different UI options, and it gives you the art of the possible, which I think a lot of times people don't know what they don't know unless they see something to like remind them. So let me show you like another option here. Okay. Oh, it even shows you for mobile too as well, like what they look like. So again, it gives you like just great ideas as to how to like interact with adaptive cards. I know there's one with like graphs and charts and stuff, and I think I'm not finding it. But so again, you can do this with any of the options here. Bots, same thing. I know Shadid said he likes bots. Take a look at this. This is awesome. Again, it's very tiny in the beginning, but you can zoom in and get a little bit, up close with how it should look like and what your tree should look like. So, it gives you guidance around that too. So again, just a really cool, like hidden trick or tool that once I joined the ecosystem team, I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew about this before. Because I feel like a lot of people could have used this and understood like visually what things could have looked like. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah, there's a ton of different here. All right, cool. Yeah. So I pasted this link in here. I'll make sure to have this link also in the file. So just give me about like a half an hour to update it, and I'll make sure to include that in my aka.ms/Rima content folder.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks.
This has been a informative session. Special thanks to Rima for delivering the magic, and be sure to stop by again. This was good for the audience. The replay will be going out to our email list so that more people can tune in on demand. And once again, thank you for opening our eyes to how to build apps in Microsoft Teams. And we have work to do now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you,
Thank
Shahid.
you.
Thank you, Rima.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, logging out now. Make sure you save the chat so that you get all the links, all the resources that Rima shared, as well as the presentation slides. Leave a recommendation on Rima's LinkedIn profile.
Thanks.
All right, Rima, thanks.
Bye.
All right.